Okay, so we're finally back on the Real Deal Torana. It's been 4 or 5 months since we worked on the car. There's been plenty of hold-ups along the way of no fault of anyone. So we finally got the gearbox and the converter. They did have a few dramas getting the gearbox together with supplier out of the US. So Rogers, thanks for that, much appreciated. So we've got it here and we're going to tackle the Torana. So the boys are going ahead. You might wonder why the manifold is off the car. We're trying to get a bit of a jump on it and get this thing moving forward so we can get it to Haltech. So they're trying to work out fuel system, the cooling system, which we spoke about as well. So they've got that off. I've definitely never seen the engine like that. Walk down the back of the car. And as you can see on the ground, we've got stuff laid out everywhere. So what you see here, fuel-wise, that's no longer needed. We're not using a header tank anymore. One advantage with this Ferrari engine is online you can find every diagram you can think of. So on the roof here, the boys have got a few mud maps. So they're going to go through this, try and work out a bit of a list for some fittings and hoses, and hopefully get this thing up and going.
All right, so we're just sorting out a few of the vacuum lines and PCV lines that we had under the intake manifold. So I've pulled a heap of them off the bottom of the intake manifold. And we've got a couple of heater hoses which will bypass under the manifold, so we don't have them because it doesn't have a heater core in it. We'll just tidy up a few bits and pieces of the wiring and hopefully it makes it look a lot nicer under the engine bay. All right, we've got inlet manifolds back on. We've got all the vacuum lines that we didn't need to use off, sorted out a few wires, bypass the heater up under the inlet manifold so we didn't have to have it visible, and just tidied up a bit of the wiring so it looks a lot neater in here. Haven't got the injector rail in yet. We're just flow testing the injectors, make sure they're all right before we put it all back together.
Alright, so the boys have been working on the Torana over the last couple of days. They've started removing all the gear that's not needed, or we believe is not needed on the engine. As you can see on the ground, there's breathers and power leads and so forth. So we left the basic harness there for Haltech to play with. We removed the manifold, had a look at some fittings under there to get to it. We are also in cleaning the injectors. So we believe sort of the engine sort of as it's going to sit, let's say, and then to a Haltech takeover, that side of things. The next move is the gearbox, the converter, get it all bolted together in the car, get the cross member made, and get a tail shaft done. So we're hoping we can use the tail shaft that was there with the big block of the power glide. At a quick couple of measurements, we believe it's just going to need to be shortened. So we'll get that in today, and fingers crossed we can reuse the tail shaft. We've also gone ahead and removed the complete 9-inch rear end and changed the diff center. So the diff center was a 457. Dominator and Paul Rogers worked out that, obviously going from a 2-speed glide, or I should say a 10-speed manual to a 2-speed glide. So that's in. Small steps, we are getting closer. So by the end of the day, we'll have the gearbox in it, wheels back on it, and hopefully it's rolling around.
Alright, so we got our tail shaft back. We set it off a couple of weeks ago after fitting the gearbox to the Torana. All measured up, so it had to be shortened about 40 mil. So let's see if it fits.
Alright, well that's it for this episode. We made a few small steps. We got the gearbox, tail shaft and cross member sorted. The boys went ahead and sorted all the plumbing, so that's on its way. So next episode, I keep saying this, but hopefully we get the fuel, cooling system sorted, and we can finally get it to Helltech.